Welcome to the SMB Community Podcast with your hosts, Amy Babinchek, James Kernan, Amy Luby, and Carl Palachuk. Produced by and for the Small Biz Thoughts technology community. We're dedicated to making every IT professional a successful IT professional. Welcome to the SMB Community Podcast. This is Carl. It's August, and I'm here with Mr. James Kernan. Welcome, sir.
Hey, Carl. It's good to be
here.
So
you're gonna step up here. You're gonna be like the main man on this podcast for the future. So, at least for the immediate future.
Well, I can't wait. No, I love the podcast. I love our guests, and I love the format. So happy to get more involved.
Very cool. So I last saw you at ChannelCon. How was that for you?
ChannelCon was a blur and a blast all at the same time. So what blur-ast? I mean, how do I say that one word? But yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was you guys had a very cool booth. It was fun being there. Didn't realize I took so many goofy pictures with my face in the robot canvas.
Hey, happy to have them. I'm just saying. I loved our booth. I made it's one of those things where we stumbled onto a lot of luck and success at the same time, and it may never be repeated.
Yeah.
So, I was posting up pictures, and I sort of shocked because I actually knew the names of every single person whose picture I posted, and I'm like, I didn't think I was that good at names, but maybe I am. So. Or maybe after like 10 or 20 years of meeting the same person, you finally remember their name. I saw people's pictures online, and I'm like, I didn't know she was there. I didn't know he was there. I didn't talk to him. I didn't talk to, So yeah, it's such a great event, but there's so much going on that anyway, it leads into our question of the day. Here's our MSP question of the day. How many events should an MSP attend in a year? If you consider events ranging from monster things, 5, 6, 7,000 people, all the way down to the little events, Channel Pros and Tech Fests and so forth of the world, I would say a minimum of one. I think you have to at least one time in your life escape from your business for a day and talk to other business owners, because the online world is exactly not the same. And no matter how well connected we think we are, talking to real human beings and saying, oh man, I have the same issue. Oh, I was trying to hire this guy, blah, 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 right? So I think a minimum of one. And in a perfect world, I'd say 1 a quarter, but that's just me.
Yeah. You read my mind, Carl. I was going to say 4. And that's ambitious, but I like the answer 1 to 4 because there's some big ones that I think are really good, like ChannelCon, and then there's some smaller, intimate ones. But I would challenge the question by saying another question on top of it. What's your purpose to go to these MSP events?
Absolutely.
What's your purpose? What's your goal? Why would you go? And everybody's answer is going to be different, but I would say, why I go, there's 2 reasons why I go. Number 1, I want to learn. I want to learn something new. So I'm there for the content, number 1. And number 2, I'm there to network. So I ran into so many familiar faces there. And on purpose, this is not everybody's favorite thing to do, but I'm kind of kooky like Carl, where I would deliberately sit down at the meals to tables where I knew absolutely nobody. And I also sat at several tables during ChannelCon where there was like no conversation at all. And I just sat down and I just started talking to people. And in our industry, as we know, there's a lot of introverts, but it's shocking to me, specifically just last week, of how many people I sat down and they were completely quiet. I asked them one question and then they just exploded with a conversation. And those were some of my favorite memories of last week, were just those conversations at those tables. But
I do think everybody has something to say. They just need to be asked to say
it. and there were a lot of people just there by themselves. And so that's interesting. But there's so many friendly friendly faces that are from the channel that are there. Again, it's like the who's who of events. But anyway, what a great question. What a great question. My answer would be 1 to 4 like yours.
I do love your emphasis on intention. I love the people who come up to me and they say things like, there are 3 people I want to meet here. Have you seen James? Right? They're like, I'm looking for, these 3 people. James is one of them, right? And I want to shake their hand and whatever. They just want to make an actual contact in the real world. And then there's other people who say, I want to meet somebody. They'll ask a question like, have you talked to anybody who is right now having trouble finding people, because I want to share some challenges and strategies and get some new mental DNA, right? So when people do that, I know that they without knowing, they follow your advice. They're following your advice, and they're showing up with the intention. Here's my tick list of things I'm going to achieve at this event. And I think that's huge, because a lot of people do just show up and kind of wander around, and they're sitting there checking their email during the breaks, and just like, dude, like go do something.
Yeah, because those, when you take time out of your office, I remember how busy I was as a MSP owner operator, right? Your time is super valuable. And it's also expensive when you go to some of these trips. Traveling nowadays is not cheap. So you need to be intentional and come up with goals of why you want to be there, and then focus on that, because you can very easily wander around and get lost, when they're at a big conference like that. So.
Yep, absolutely. So that's all good. And speaking of events, I want to make sure you get a chance. You have an event coming up in Scottsdale. It's already next month. Can you believe that?
I know. I can't.
Didn't you just do an event yesterday?
Yeah, it sure feels like it. Yeah, I still have bags in my office I haven't unpacked from my last event. But yeah, it's coming up like a freight train. Really excited about this one, Carl. It's probably, I don't know, truthfully, it will be my best one to date. And I really love the location. So we've got great speakers lined up. I've got 2 full days of content. It's a Thursday, Friday. It's September 28th and 29th. So September 28th, 29th, it's the last Thursday, Friday of September. So it should be much cooler in Arizona by then. But it's
you mean 101.
Yeah, but it's a dry heat, right? So it's a dry heat. It's still boiling hot. No, it should be cooler, and it's at the Talking Stick resort. And the Talking Stick, if you've not been there before, it is incredible. It's a golf club, it's a spa, it's a casino, and we've got the red carpet rolled out for us there by the leadership. So anyway, I'm really excited about it because the venue is spectacular. The food is over the top. We feed everybody with glorious meals and breakfast and lunch. But we've got some fun activities, and it'll be a great event. And our events aren't huge. Again, a perfect example. You're going to learn a ton, and you're going to meet some great people. But it'll be normally our events are around 40 to 50 people. With some strategic partners there as well. You're there to learn and network.
So I just learned just now that the Talking Stick is actually a golf club.
Yeah. I
did not know that. So there you go. So hand me the Talking Stick, and then I'll see if I can putt here. So
yeah, that's awesome. They got a Top Golf there, and then it's a big spa as well. So you're into massages and all that fun stuff, you could do that too. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. That's coming up quickly.
Well, where I live, September is still a hot month, and I just can't imagine that Phoenix is going to be much cooler. But anyway, I hope that you have a nice, balmy 95 degrees there and you enjoy it. So I do want to say one last thing, shout out. The National Society of IT Service Providers is having elections in September. So August is the month to run for office. Every single seat is open, in the sense of we have About half of the board is up for election. About half of each committee is up for election. And so no matter where you want to serve, this is your opportunity. You do have to be a paid member in order to run for office, but it's $150 a year for your entire company. So there's absolutely no excuse for anybody in IT to not pony up 1 hour's worth of labor for an organization that's trying to improve the professionalism of the entire industry. So please join us and run for office. I would love to see you do that. And, it'll be a wonderful thing. And, last year we had a really great turnout of both candidates and people voting. So I am looking forward to the future very, very brightly over at the National Society. So check it out at nsitsp.org. And we have some smart interviews. IT Service Provider University helps you improve the business side of your business. We launched IT Service Provider University in 2013, and today we offer more than 20 courses on every aspect of running your consulting business. ITSPU provides training and pathways to certification for individual IT service providers as well as company-level certifications. Pathways include management, technician, sales and marketing, service manager, and front office. Learn more about professional classes and certification at itspu.com.
All right, welcome back to the SMB Community Podcast. This is James Kernan with Kernan Consulting, live here with a superstar growth expert in the MSP channel, Jake Gregorich. Gregorich.
Got it.
Right? There you go. Boy, that's a little bit of a tongue twister. I thought I had it down until I was looking at it again. Anyway, Jake, welcome to the program.
Thanks, James. Pleasure to be here. I'm excited to kind of dive in. I think we have a quite similar background, so it should be some good, valuable conversation.
Yeah, you're a sales and marketing guy, so I couldn't agree more. So you're with Lyra Technology Group, and we've been having a little conversation prior, and I really like some of the things that I'm hearing. But first of all, I understand you're based in Chicago, right? You're up in the Wheaton area.
Yeah, I actually just moved to Darien, but still a suburb about 30 minutes outside of Chicago.
Okay, and were you born and raised in the Illinois area, or where are you from?
Yeah, I just had a 4-month-old baby. He's the love of my life.
Congratulations.
As well as my wife. And we moved to Darien because our parents are about 5 and 10 minutes away. So yeah, I grew up not too far away.
All right, that's very cool. I love hearing stories like that. So so I know you're somewhat new to Lyra Technology Group, but tell me a little bit about your background, and then I want to hear more about what you guys do. And the big thing, I will tell everybody that's listening, stay tuned in, because Jake is really the VP of growth, and he leads a large sales and marketing team. So we're going to talk about what's working and what's not working in the channel today. But real quick, tell us a little bit more about Lyra Technology Group.
Yeah, I think not dissimilar to your background, James, in terms of leading the sales function of 20 businesses. The only way that's really possible in our company is through our decentralized business model. And so Lyra is a division of an organization called Evergreen Services Group. Evergreen's done 73 or more acquisitions since starting 5.5 years ago. And we're kind of the antithesis to what the rest of private equity is doing in the managed services space, which is buying a lot of companies, centralizing them into a platform investment, and realizing those benefits from consolidations, from efficiency gains, from scale, by centralizing services. And what we've done is kind of recognized early on that managed services are best delivered locally and with small teams. And so when companies choose to partner with us, they keep their names, they keep their company logos, their management teams, they own their P&L, so they make all the decisions in their companies. And so they keep that small, local, high accountability team that I think is necessary to deliver good services to the end customers in the markets that we serve.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I remember being, a business owner myself, single location, it's lonely at the top. And the part that I like what you have is you've got a network of MSPs around the country. I'm sure you can leverage each other's resources, and then you guys bring a lot to the table as well. So that's awesome. Well, let's talk about sales and marketing, right? So you're connected, you see what's working. What are some of the campaigns or some of the initiatives from a growth standpoint that's working for you guys?
Yeah, maybe I'll turn it around and first talk about what's not working and how it kind of comes back to our approach to growing a business. James, there's 40,000 MSPs in the US, and maybe if you only count MSPs with more than 5 employees, there's about 10,000 of them. There's AI that's kind of disrupting a lot of industries and making high volume automated outreach, content marketing, really a thing that is now a lot of noise because everyone can do it because it's such a low cost of barrier to entry. And then you have managed service providers. We're the plumbing of IT. We make sure things work. You actually know you're doing a good job when people don't have to call you because that means you're proactive. And so, it's not all that sexy, but we are absolutely critical to the success of these businesses. And so, that the fact that you have all this noise, you have all of these competitors, and there's just a general lack of differentiation in the market. It's really hard. If you ask any business owner what's their number one challenge, almost all of them in the MSP industry are going to say, either finding more opportunities or, closing new logo sales. And I think it's because of those 3 reasons.
Okay, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, it's interesting. I run peer groups in North America, and in a similar fashion, I'm connected to lots of MSPs. So I get the unique perspective as well of seeing what's working and what's not working, and the first and foremost, I'll tell you what I see not working is when you don't market your business.
Yeah.
Right? I knew you'd laugh at that because it's all too common. A lot of people just get really busy as a small owner operator that's trying to do everything. And it seems like sales and marketing is the last thing that you want to do. And to me, it's the first thing you need to do, right? If you want to grow, you need to put a plan together, get campaigns going. You need to work your tail off with these campaigns, and you need to do there's no one silver bullet. You need to do multiple things. And then when the opportunity comes in, you need to react with reckless abandon and respond quickly to their request, because those first impressions are lasting, especially if it's with a new prospect. So I see that as well. So and anything else on, from your perspective on what you see working out there?
Yeah, James, I think you hit the nail on the head. Sales can be scary because it's hard to draw a direct line to ROI before you actually hit like the flywheel of all of the deals closing. So, putting in 6 months, 9 months of effort and seeing very little results, I think scares people away. And lots of businesses will hire a salesperson. They'll see it as a cost center. It'll fail. And they might not give them enough runway, and then they kind of give up on it. So, being in the arena is probably the first step. So I think that's a pretty good call out. Just, start, do it.
I was at ChannelCon last week, and I ran into a good friend, strategic partner, super smart guy. He's the CEO of Fin Security, Connor Schwalm. And Connor said something at first I kind of laughed, and then I thought about it and I was like, oh my gosh, it's so simple, but exactly, truth bomb. He said, hey, showing up is 90% of it. Just showing up. He said, just showing up is 90% of it. And he was talking about being successful and growing and in winning new accounts. And again, it sounds so simple, but everybody gets busy. And, again, it seems like sales and marketing initiatives kind of fall off the wayside, and they need to be consistent as well, as you know, right?
Yeah, so I think, a minimally viable plan that you believe in and are willing to run hard at can absolutely work. So then, there is no silver bullet. I'm happy to kind of go into what I think works from my experience. I've been a frontline seller, a sales manager, a consultant outside of organizations to managed service providers, and now I'm overseeing lightly
Yeah.
20 sales kind of and marketing organizations, and they're all at different stages. So happy to go into that, although I'm also kind of curious to hear what you see work and what your approach is to a new customer engages you for consulting services, and what is it that you kind of go in and do for them.
Well, I'm going to be really blunt and forgive my off-color language, but most MSPs suck at marketing, just like I said, because they don't do it. They don't have a plan, and they don't know what they're doing. And first and foremost, I just help them put together a plan. My organization doesn't provide marketing services. I'm a believer in leadership creates the plan, and then you delegate the execution to your coworkers, interns, or out-task or outsource that to the marketing specialist. But you need a plan. It needs to be diverse. You need multiple touches in different ways, from email marketing. It needs to be educational, and it needs to be entertaining. People want to be entertained. They want to learn something they didn't know before. Cybersecurity is super hot, so that's a great topic to educate through email, through postcards, through telemarketing efforts. What I see people do as well is they'll just try one of them. Well, I'm just going to hire a dialer and see if I can set up appointments, or I'm just going to do a monthly email newsletter and see if that works. And it doesn't work, because you've got to do all of these together around a campaign, and they intertwine with one another. So some of the people I work with do really well with digital marketing. You need a social media presence, and all these different campaigns are just, to me, windows to get to your website or windows to get to you. So I like the diverse approach, and each geography is a little bit different. Some are really hot with social media and some aren't. Some respond more to telephones and some respond more to the direct mail. But again, I think the death wish is when you just try one of them and rely on that. You need a diverse approach. And then I'm a big fan of, face-to-face selling, and, knocking on people's doors and getting out there with networking and asking for referrals and getting face-to-face with customers, because that's how you get to know them. So that was my answer. Long-winded, but diverse is really my point.
Yeah.
So what do you think working?
When I think about kind of our approach, I guess, as with anything, it starts with the people. And so, maybe it's because we have financial backers, and so we're willing to take on more risk. And it's not every dollar out of, as an expense is a dollar out of our pocket, because we're not the majority owner of these companies. But I think getting the right sales leadership in place is important. And going up the pay scale, if necessary, to get the person that's going to build your growth engine. It is the most important hire you make, I believe, is the head of sale. And so getting that correct person is kind of where it all starts. And when I think about what the correct person is, of course, everything that people look for in a salesperson: hungry, personable, strong work ethic, organized. All of those things are important. I think kind of obvious. What might be a little bit less obvious is that I think that leader needs to be a true business partner to the CEO. And so they have to be innovative and thinking commercially on how you're going to actually create a strategy and direction for the entire business to aim at. And for operations, sales, practice area development to be rowing towards that direction. And that's kind of how you can start to solve for the lack of differentiation problem. Maybe, James, what I can do here is is give you kind of the steps that I think are necessary in how to specialize your business. And given a real example of one of our companies within the family of Lyra that is in the process of doing so and doing so quite successfully.
Yeah, gather your thoughts real quick on that, and let's go into that. I do want to comment, and I completely agree with your comment about, a sales-minded culture, and you said a sales leader or a sales manager. Unfortunately, what I see in the industry is most MSP business owners are not sales oriented. They're not professionally trained as sales professionals, but they're super smart technically. And normally you need to outsource that, or you need to hire that sales leader to help you build things out and create that sales culture. I always like saying that you're a sales organization that provides technology services, not you're a technology company trying to, do sales and marketing. It starts with that mindset. So that's a great point, Jake.
Yeah. And when you think about getting that business partner, if you are an individually owned MSP, what levers do you have? If this person's going to be a true business partner to you and you want them to share in the upside, the most, having looked at, over 100 probably MSP deals to do acquisitions of, a lot of the ones that were very successful gave some sliver of equity to a sales-minded person because they were technical, and now they align that person's interests to grow the business. And that's how they're able to bridge also some compensation gaps. So I think that can be an interesting lever to pull for a small individually owned and operated MSP.
Yep. Okay.
I guess getting into kind of the strategy here, and I guess maybe I could just share the story. Where we always recommend starting, if you're gonna, let's say you just were hired or you hired someone to lead your sales function, is really with your current clients. Where can we do account research and figure out in our businesses who owns these customers? A lot of times a business owner owns multiple businesses. Maybe there's a trend because you have a referral source and you just happen to have a big footprint into a certain industry vertical. It could be healthcare. In this case, I'm going to give the example of the Department of Defense. So people with CMMC requirements. Our company, Laser Point, which is based in Cleveland. Shout out to Dave Laser, who ran an amazing business for 26 years and is now transitioning that company. Dave was the principal-led sales founder. And as he thinks about transitioning his company and becoming an advisor and stepping out of the day-to-day, he elevated his number 2 guy, which is more of a technical and operations person, into the CEO chair. And we brought in someone I had worked with in my past and had a lot of confidence in, a guy named Grant Menard, to lead the sales function. And so we're going through this process, like many, of how do we solve for principal-led sales? There's a ceiling there, whether you've sold your business or not, on just how big your network is. And so how can you break through that ceiling? You need to build a real sales engine that scales beyond just the owner's network. And so what did me and Grant kind of work on, and primarily Grant, is looking at the current client base. And so what they identified is that they had 8 customers that were in the DoD supply chain. One of those businesses is a holding company and has several, I think 10 or 12 investments that they own and operate. And so we have this, the best possible reference point is, hey, the company that owns your business is our customer and will vouch for the services we do. And, within the DoD, so now we have a starting point. We're on second base, right? We have this customer base. We have people that will get on reference calls for us. We have case studies. We have specialization in terms of the service delivery and understanding the compliance that are necessary. And I kind of recommend at that point doing something, a lot of people talk about the ideal customer profile. I talk about the ideal audience profile. And, I don't need to go into the ICP. I think lots of people have done so. But when we talk about expanding that to the audience profile, that's what topics are hot and interesting in CMMC. That's, the new rules that they're coming out with in the next year or so. What are the channels? So there's, Summit 7 is a top Microsoft CMMC partner. A company called Ancura is doing cyber and compliance work within the channel of CMMC. Who are the buyers? Who are the influencers in this? The peers and what communities exist. And so when you lay out the audience profile, now putting a plan together to get really intentional about, like, this quarter, we're going to go to the peer groups within CMMC, and we're going to go to these 4 events, and we're going to go on to these podcasts. And what are we going to do from a practice area standpoint? We're hiring one of those channel partners to guide us through becoming CMMC compliant as an MSP. Well, what's a great way to start a strategic partnership is like giving that strategic partner business. And so if we can partner with one of those organizations that take us through compliance, and they're able to now leverage their network to be able to provide a more complete IT services offering through their partners, that's a good win for everyone.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love it. I love the focus. That's more of a sniper strategy, instead of that shotgun blast that so many people try. Anyway, that's fantastic. And in my background, I've got a lot of government sales experience, specifically into the prime contractor space. So that's a hot market. That really is. And there's more and more regulation. So to me, that means the more regulation, the more opportunity normally. So that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I was going through your website, Jake, and I see some familiar faces up there. I think there's some success stories that are part of your network now. And there's some clients that I've worked with in the past as well, even right there in Chicago.
Yeah. I think you're referring to Mike Reuter and Don Sofalo at OSG. Quite frankly, that their business was absolutely on a rampage terror before my time. I started with Lyra 7 months ago, so I cannot take any credit for this success. But I know that they hired you quite a while ago to professionalize their sales function, and they were actually the top performing company within our family of 73 businesses last year. So I think that speaks some volumes to some of the work that you're doing, as well as the guys over at OSG, and they're maniacs. They're as good as they come.
Yeah, they're superstars. They're very bright, incredibly intelligent. They've got that drive. And anyway, it's impressive to see that they're part of your organization, and I'm glad they're making a difference there. So, well, that's exciting. Well, Jake, I want to thank you for being on the program. I hope the listeners gathered up some of the nuggets that Jake was sharing. So congratulations on you guys' growth and everything going on. How can people get a hold of you if they've got questions or actually just want to learn more about your organization? What's a good way to reach out to you?
Yeah, I think just on LinkedIn, Jake Gregorich. If you send me a direct message, I'm pretty active. I'll usually get back to you pretty quick. And I'm always looking to have conversations with MSPs, MSP business owners, sales talent on whether it's exiting their business, whether it's sales strategy within their companies, or overall challenges that they're facing. So please do reach out.
All right, Jake. Thanks again for being on the program. I will catch up with you soon. Thank you.
All right, thanks for checking it out, and we look forward to seeing you again at the next SMB Community Podcast. Have a great week. Thank you for tuning in to the SMB Community Podcast. If you found this useful, interesting, or fun, please subscribe, share with your friends, and give us a thumbs up on your favorite social media. Please check out the show notes at smbcommunitypodcast.com and give us your feedback.